Morning guys, it's gonna be a pretty casual video today. I'm using the vlogging camera and I wanted to just get ready with you guys and show you what my current go-to makeup look is using only drugstore products. And then I'm also going to touch on where I've been because some of you guys have expressed interest in the comments of my first video back. And if you want to see my go-to drugstore makeup look, then here we go. Good morning. I am getting ready for the day, so I wanted to do a get ready with me. So even though some of these products are new, overall the look is going to be what I generally go for day in and day out. I have been doing my eyeshadow first, and I am using the Scotch tape method. I am one of those people. I find this to be so easy, and I like to put it on the back of my hand first to make it less tacky. And I'm looking over here because I do have a mirror. And to prime my eyes, I typically use a concealer. So this is Maybelline Better Skin in the shade Light. And then just use any brush to buff it out. This is an Up and Up brush from Target. And then just set it with a powder. This is the Neutrogena Shine Control powder that I've been using for years and repurchased at least a dozen times, at least. For eyeshadow, I have been playing around with this Wet n Wild Nude Awakening palette, and this is the new formula that they came out with. So in addition to redoing Comfort Zone, which was one of my favorite palettes before, they did come out with some new ones. So I'm starting with the transition shade with an e.l.f. blending brush. So looking back at when I last posted a video 2 years ago, it was January 2016, which is insane. Really, the 2 years went by incredibly fast. I did not have an intention of leaving YouTube for as long as I did. Honestly, I felt like every month there was this pressure. I needed to come back. I knew I wanted to come back, but I just wasn't in a good place. Around the time that I stopped posting on YouTube was when our family dog Angel had passed away. And Angel is a dog that we adopted when we first moved to Arizona in 2002 from California. She was just the symbol of Arizona for me. Then I'm using the darker matte brown shade, the other transition, to just focus it a little bit more in the outer corner. And I'm using the same brush, by the way. I know she wasn't a human being, but really, if you have owned a dog or you own a dog now, they're like part of your family. If you truly, truly love your dogs, they are like family, and she was definitely part of the family for us. And I think I was also going through other things at the time, and I didn't really even realize it. Like toward the end of posting on YouTube, you may have noticed in my videos that I wasn't as cheerful or something. Like I think something was a little off. I was already kind of going through something, so when that happened, I was just really sad. And I basically watched the entire series of Friends all over again. I grew up watching Friends, but I watched it on Netflix from start to finish in chronological order. And I would go to sleep watching Friends. Anytime there was absolute silence, I would want to turn on Friends, like when I was getting ready for work or when I came home from work. I just wanted to watch Friends. I use the same brush for the entire look, by the way. So now I'm going in with the black, a matte black. And I focus it even more on the outer corner. And then with work too, it got pretty busy, just a lot more responsibility. So I've definitely been focusing on work in the last couple of years. And that's pretty much it for the eyeshadow. So I take off the tape. Oh my gosh, really? It's hit or miss because sometimes you take off the tape and you don't need to clean it up. Today, we're gonna have to clean it up, but this is real life. And I'm using a new primer today. It's the Milani Prime Correct Face Primer, light to medium skin tones, oil-free. It's very smoothing. And to apply foundation, I love the L'Oreal sponge. I wet this, or I cleaned it and I wet it. And then for foundation, it's the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. I mix it with two shades, 201 and 202. 201 is Classic Ivory, 202 is Creamy Natural. So what was I saying? I was talking about, I was stressed out from work. Stressed out in a good way though, you know, like we had a lot of stuff going on at work, more responsibility. It's all a very good thing. But yeah, when you're working a full-time job and you want to come home and still put on a happy face and post videos when you're not really happy or when you're just a little too stressed out and tired, it can get a little overwhelming. It was kind of like a, I'm gonna step away for a little bit thing, and then a month went by, months went by, a year went by, and we moved. For under eyes, this is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. This is a classic in the shade Neutral. It has a yellow undertone. And then on top of that, I'm just using another concealer that is basically my skin tone that I used to prime my eyes earlier, and this is the Maybelline Better Skin. And I'm just putting this all over wherever I spots. Pretty sure this is a scar from a potential pimple, I hope, and it's not a sunspot. And then that April, we adopted our first dog, Zoe, and she is the Pitbull mix that you've seen in the back of my videos. And that was totally unplanned. Like, Steven and I have talked about wanting to adopt dogs down the road, but the day before that day and the day of that day, like that morning, I had no intention of adopting a dog. And what happened was, I work in a newsroom and we have a weekly segment when the Humane Society brings in a dog, and I went over to say hi to the people who had brought the dog and brought Zoe, and she jumped up on me in like the most gentle way, and right then and there I was like, oh no. So I almost jokingly texted Steven and I was like, hey, can we adopt this dog? And I was totally expecting him to be like, no. But instead, he replied with, what kind of dog is she? How old is she? And I'm like, what? Before, I was basically asking him if we could adopt these like little petite dogs. And I was showing him all these photos and he was always like, no, no, no. Because he's all about safety, making sure that if I'm ever walking the dog, that it doesn't look like the dog could like not protect me. So if there's ever a little spot that is not getting enough coverage, I will tap on a little bit more and then go over it with a Q-tip. Sorry, I keep going back and forth between talking about makeup, talking about personal stuff, talking about makeup. But I do need to set my face. So this is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. Just like to tap some into the cap. Like that. And I just press it into the skin like pretty generously. And I don't leave it baking for a long time. I just immediately dust it away. And this is a Wet n Wild stippling brush. And I look very ghostly, so I need a little bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. And this is the shade Bronzer. They have light bronzer, bronzer, deep bronzer. And this is another Wet n Wild brush. I love this kind of angled brush for applying bronzer. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh my gosh, this is so hard. Steven was interested, and we decided that our lunch break that day was going to be spent going to the Humane Society to adopt, well, potentially adopt her. So Steven met her, we walked around a little bit with her, and he fell in love with her, and we're like, let's do it, let's adopt her. And we were totally not expecting it. So we took her home that day, and she's very healthy now, but she was not healthy when they found her. She had a very sad story. She was left in the backyard of an abandoned home, so there was no one there. She didn't have any food. She had a lot of health problems. They ended up having to extract a lot of her teeth. Police actually found her because people were like, this home is abandoned, but we hear noises coming from it. So police ended up finding this dog, Zoe, in the backyard, and she was very malnourished. You could see her ribs, but she's in a good place now. She is so happy and full of life, and it was just the best decision we ever made. For blush, I ended up getting another shade of that Physicians Formula Butter Blush because I mentioned that I love Plum Rose. So this one is Vintage Rouge, and one of you also said that you'd like to see another blush video from me, like an updated one. Although I did say that I'm not really into blush like I used to be, I could still definitely do a blush video, so let me know if you guys want to see that. And I'll do like a summer edition, or maybe just my current top 5 drugstore blushes or something. And this is a different Wet n Wild brush. It's the same style, but just a new one. And I like to put it like right in here. And now I'm finally filling in my brows. I don't like that I'm going through the entire video without doing my brows, but I'm genuinely showing you guys what the order of my makeup application is. So this is really the order I do it in every day. This is the e.l.f. brow pencil in Neutral Brown. Let's see what else. Oh, so we, that year, moved to this current house. It's been nice to have my own room, and through all of that, I definitely got rid of a lot of makeup. I know it would have been great to do like a purging video or like a decluttering video, but I just wasn't filming at the time. But I got rid of so much makeup. You guys remember how much I had. And the thing too is, around that time, I was purchasing so much makeup all within a span of a year. I mean, not really a year, but you know, a lot of it came from within a year. So of course, they're all gonna start to expire around the same time. So I ended up having to just get rid of makeup because they were expiring. And plus, when you're just not posting on YouTube anymore or on Instagram or anything, you just slowly start to fall back on what your go-to look is, and you just want to own that one look, you know, like you don't want to have to think about your makeup application. So I ended up not really needing that much makeup in the end, and that's why my collection has really gone down, but it has also just felt so much better. I also thought about like how much money I was spending on the makeup, and it was just like boggling my mind. And I'm actually going to spritz my face real quick with the Mario Badescu facial spray with aloe, cucumber, and green tea. I usually don't talk after I spray. I totally tasted that. I usually like to spray my sponge with that and then apply my foundation and everything, but as I'm talking, of course, I tend to forget what I'm supposed to be doing, and I just miss steps. So I'm gonna finish off my eyes. I always finish my eyes last, well, followed by lip. So I will curl my lashes. This is the Shoot Rumor Eyelash Curler. This is not drugstore. This is the one thing that's not gonna be drugstore. And then my favorite mascara right now is Maybelline, the Colossal Big Shot. These are the Ardell Soft Touch 162. I mentioned this is my favorite lash. The lash glue I use to apply it with is the Duo Brush On Adhesive with Vitamins. I mentioned in my favorites that if I could only use one lash, I'd be okay with just using this forever. This is my favorite eyeliner. It is the Maybelline Master Precise Skinny Gel Pencil in brown. And then that same Q-tip that I used earlier for my concealer, I just used the other end to smudge out that lower lash line. And then I set that with some eyeshadow, so going back to the Wet n Wild palette. To give that lower lash line a little bit more dimension, I will use a shimmery brown eyeshadow today. And then the same mascara for the bottom lashes. I don't have any problems with smudging down there. I'm gonna pop a little bit of the shimmery eyeshadow in my inner corner. A lot of these steps, by the way, I don't do every day. Like if I don't have time, I'm never gonna do this step. And then I also picked up the Milani Afterglow Strobe Light Highlighter. And this is the Real Technique setting brush. I have two options here. They're both liquid lipsticks. I can go with the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink in Seductress. I really like this. And then this is the Milani Amore Shine Liquid Lip Color in... This doesn't have a name. What the heck? So I just realized that the Milani one doesn't have a name on the packaging. Unless I'm missing it. I really don't see a name on here. I do like a shiny lip these days, so I'm going to go in with the Milani. This is a liquid lip color, but it does have some shine. It's like a cream lipstick, basically. So once I figure out the name of this, I will put it in the description box. So where did I leave off? Oh yeah, so we moved into this house. We ended up getting our second dog. His name is Winston, just this past September. and he is a Chihuahua mix, or at least they say he's a Chihuahua mix, but I'm not really sure exactly what he is. I've been told by people that he looks like a Chihuahua Dachshund, but then other people are saying that he is a rat terrier, so we don't really know what he is, but we love him. And it's been really good for Zoe to have a friend. Zoe just looked like she really could use a companion as much as she loved having us just to herself. Just one morning, spontaneously, we were like, let's look up the Humane Society website to see if there are any dogs that interest us. And we went on there and we saw Winston's picture and we're like, yes, let's get him. And Winston was dropped off at the Humane Society by his previous owners because they had a baby and the baby was allergic to him. And he is also just as cuddly as Zoe, if not more. He just wants to sit on your lap and he will be satisfied. Things have been going well. At first it was very difficult, but it got a lot better, and I think it's in the end very good that they have each other. So adjusting to having two dogs was definitely an experience, but it's been really great, very rewarding, and so happy that we could do this for these two dogs. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is, in the midst of having more responsibilities at work and being busy at work, and then also taking care of the dogs, I was also wanting to figure out this whole mental thing that I was going through. So what happened was, it got really bad at the end of this last year when my mind was getting very foggy and I didn't really know what was going on. I ended up going to the doctor, and this is an oversimplified version of the story, but in the end, I got blood work done, and they were telling me that I was extremely low in vitamin B12 and extremely, extremely low in vitamin D. And my mind was just so foggy. I was also very down and in a very dark place that I think I just didn't really share with other people. All of that went away when I started to take all these different vitamins now. So in addition to the vitamin B12 and the vitamin D, I now take all these other supplements, and I mentioned it in a different video. And I know that everyone's going through something. So with me, I'm not ever comparing what I went through to anybody else's situation. It was just what I personally experienced. I had to take care of myself first, and I wanted to get out of this dark place in my head. You know, I would see other people and act like everything was fine, but everything really wasn't fine. And I knew that if I was going to come back on YouTube, I didn't want it to be a haphazard thing, or I wasn't completely ready, and that's why it took me so long. I didn't want to start coming back again and then disappear again. I wanted to make sure that I was 100% in it and I wasn't going away. And so it took this long to get here, but I think it was also a very good thing for me. I really needed that. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been. It's very simplified. I mean, really, a lot has happened in 2 years, but those were definitely the highlights, you know? So basically work, the dogs, moving, and taking care of myself and making sure that I was okay. And thank you guys for sticking around with me. Even some of you were saying that you were watching my older videos while I was away, and that means a lot to me because, I don't know, it just, even though I was away, my videos were still up, and that the fact that you guys still wanted to watch them, it's just very nice to know that people care. And I'm gonna get very emotional, so I'm gonna stop talking. So yeah, this wasn't really the get ready with me chit chat, where have I been, that I had in mind. I was not very good at talking while I was applying my makeup, but hope it was okay, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.